You ready?
I am, yes.
I'm ready.
Sorry. We are Team 1, PM 107. I'm Josh Campbell.
I'm Tiffany Hart.
Alonzo Webster.
I'm Annie Marino. I'm Stephanie Casino.
And we are Carnival. Today we're here to tell you about who we are, but first I'm going to start with what we are. We are a restaurant that will be in the single location, full service restaurant industry. What this means is it is a single location that is just owned and operated by us. The full service is that customers can come in, sit down, get their food, be waited on by our wait staff, and then pay when they leave. We'll also offer a drive-through for express way to get your food, a call-in, carry-out option, and a catering service. The great thing about this industry that if I don't know if you guys had our thing put up on Basecamp.
I do.
Page 3, figure 1.1, we have a table that shows that the industry has had a constant growth within the last 8 years, an average growth of 4.4%, averaging about $164 billion a year. And then specifically in 2017, there was a growth of 2.4% with a revenue of $188 billion. And this was actually the first time this industry has superseded the grocery industry. So more Americans are spending money on going out to eat than they are groceries.
Since when? Just out of curiosity, what did that break point?
It was in 2017 was the first year that the spending in the specifically
over the last 7 years, kind of based on this chart. Just out of curiosity, this is why I'm asking. Because like the after the crisis, financial crisis, everyone stopped going out to eat. So now they're back eating again. Is that kind of what's going on with that statement? Okay.
And actually,
that makes sense to me. I think just that context, and that's kind of recovered from.
And there is a projected growth of 2.2% all the way until 2022. And our location is specifically in Texas. Texas revenue is about 7% of the total United States revenue in this industry. So Texas is has a large market share of this revenue.
So where's your location justification for Texas?
We talk about it later down in the document.
I can talk about it now too. So if you turn to page 10 on table 3.1, it lists the 4 potential cities that we chose from, and then the 5 criteria bases that we have. And so highlighted in gold is the cities that came in first out of our 5 criteria options, and Austin, Texas came in first out of 4 of the 5 criterias. So that is why we chose.
What were the drivers?
The drivers were families under the age of 17, with children under the age of 17.
Okay.
And it was the population of the cities, what else? So the population, health conscious.
And we also looked at
Health conscious. Okay, so
you're looking for a low index.
Yeah.
Right? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. I was sorry, I was thinking of the high index. I don't think that just makes sense to me. Okay.
The body mass index percent. So
I'm pretty sure that's it. It's listed in the chart. I feel like there was one more.
Yeah, there is one more. It's on the top of my head, the tip of my tongue.
And we also incorporated temperature. I don't know if we ended up adding it to the criteria list, but we also looked at the temperature of the cities. We wanted to go somewhere that was warmer, that actually had carnival, so people would have a craving for it. We were debating between that and a colder area, but we chose the warmer just because of the familiar taste that they would have for the carnival food.
Okay, so I think so you answered my question really quickly. That's good. You got your reference to your tables. That's really nice too. So you know what's in here, and it looks like you've done a pretty good job here. I would tell you to continue to quantify it a little bit more, explain it out a little bit more too, and then as you explain it, I think up in the body of your report, you're going to have some of those key highlights around that market and so forth that you're going to. And then it's going to very easily tie to these criteria here that you selected.
Okay.
And then, but I don't get any of your rationale. I just get a table. So that's where I think you really need to build it out
Yeah, I think
more.
in
Like
the
the
bottom.
BMI is not in here, by the way.
Oh yeah, it's up in that's one of the appendices I think that you're on, and on one of the pages that has the demographic targets and the psychographics.
You
we have
can
it
link
on
that
there.
down to this criteria,
Okay,
if
okay.
you will.
Okay,
Yes.
yeah.
And then
we'll do
it's
that
starting
next
to
time.
flow, and that thread is going
Yes.
throughout your report.
Okay.
As you're building that rationale along, and then as you do your detailed analysis, and when you flip through it, it's going to link to.
Okay.
Then it's like, yep, that makes sense. That's what they've been talking about. They justify it because that's they want less healthy cities.
Yes.
And support why you're doing it. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Good.
All right, so I'm going to talk more about what Carnival is specifically. Carnival is going to be a restaurant that serves foods that you see at primarily carnivals. And so our mission statement is that we are going to be bringing our community together over a unique and authentic dining experience. And our vision statement is that we will be striving to build a fun experience for our community, one magical bite of carnival food at a time. We are planning on standing out over our competition, not only from our unique dining options, but also from our company's values with our service staff. Our customer service is planned to be outstanding. All of our employees will have outstanding integrity and self-respect, whether they are in uniform or outside of the restaurant, and that's something that Carnival prides itself on. Now, Alonzo's going to talk more about the target demographics. Why?
Yeah. Doesn't everybody have that integrity? Why is it so important in this industry, and that you want your employees to express it inside and outside the business?
Well, something that we talked about actually in marketing yesterday was the perishable services. And so with those services, it's important to have people our target demographic is families. And so having people on social media, if they were to find them with social media being so predominant right now, having our employees have that positive self-reflection out in the world will make people respect our restaurant more and build our reputation up higher than if we had poor customer service. And so we plan on building our reputation from our integrity at our restaurant.
Okay, so you're trying to cite some stuff generally learned versus specifically cited and justified. So, so I think there's a blend there. I think that a balance about how you want to strike that tone.
Mm-hmm.
So I get it, and it seems more of a general. That's the right thing to do.
Right.
Then maybe you're going to justify it with some numbers. So
Okay.
Or if not numbers, some sort of citation that says the National Restaurant Association recommends
Okay.
whatever.
Okay.
And your family friendly, especially needs to have that blah blah blah.
It would be good to have I appreciate that it came from class, but something that was specifically related to your industry, to a claim that you're making about your employees.
Okay.
I'll find
your
those numbers.
integrity.
Yeah, we will find those numbers too.
Yes,
Yeah.
for sure.
It makes it more powerful, more poignant, more compelling.
Yes.
Yes.
And you're learning concepts you learn in class, which is always good.
To continue on to speak about the demographic, we chose Austin just because it has a lot of demographic areas. The fact that we are family oriented, that's why we are backbone. We see that from the numbers, there are 69,000 families that have children that are under 18 years or older, and from the Washington State Fair demographic, there are 90% of people who attend fairs alone. They're between under age 12 and up to 44 years old, and that's an area of family as well.
Okay.
We talk about the psychological.
Yeah, the psychographics.
Psychographics.
Yeah, so according to Simply Analytics, the national household average for people in Austin, Texas spend on average $893.99 on fast food lunch and dinners, and that is higher than the national average of the United States. So the spending habits and preferences goes along with unhealthy food options. Even though that families know that it's unhealthy, they still spend money on fast food. So it's very beneficial for Carnival in Austin, Texas, for Carnival to be located in Austin, Texas compared to health-conscious cities. And now I'm going to pass it over to Stephanie.
So can you just say that or repeat that quickly? Is the higher number there, is that their propensity to eat out in general, or eat out at fast food places?
Eat out at fast food places, but that could be,
Specifically.
specifically. And then we're going to go more we're going to dig more into depth after this to find how many people eat out on a regular basis, like with unhealthy eating and food habits.
Because one thing you might want to add to that, I mean, yeah, it's sort of fast food, and yeah, it's probably kind of unhealthy, but you might look into people who sort of like a thematic something, right? Like in Pigeon Forge, there are all sorts of thematic dining experiences, the Dollywood and these other ones that these are people who like to kind of make their meal an experience beyond just like it's their typical menu and go to this one tonight and that one tomorrow night. You know, what difference does it make? They're kind of the same.
Okay.
But so that could be kind of an overlay. I'm not saying that you have to find exactly who those people are and claim that that's your target audience. I'm not saying that. But it might sort of make it a little richer if you could find people who are beyond this idea of I'm willing to eat out. I'm willing to sort of do something unusual. Mm-hmm. I'm willing to have an experience. I'm willing to taste, different, what do you call those? Genres or different kinds of palate type things. I like Italian dining or Japanese dining or Chinese dining, stuff like that. It'd be kind of a reach, but at least you would know that those were people who tended to go for a certain kind of menu as opposed to just, Shoney's, Denny's. I mean, they're like all variations on a theme. You're looking for people who, or the best people that you could find are people who want to go do something really unusual with their meal time and money.
Yeah, that's a really good idea.
So,
yeah, definitely something.
What's the difference between a funnel cake and an elephant ear? I always thought they were the same.
Funnel cake is like you put it in the deep fryer.
Right.
And then the elephant ear, you actually stretch the dough, and it's like bigger, and it kind of pops up a little bit.
I like them both.
I don't draw a distinction. So at the briefing, are you going to bring some fried Oreos? That's the one I highlighted here.
Fried Oreos.
Snow cone, you can never go
We'll
wrong
keep
with
that
snow
in
cone.
mind.
Get on the card at the vat of start. It's 450 degrees.
All right, we digress. Go ahead.
So, but I think, I'm looking at your industry analysis, you're kind of setting the framework for the location, or for the restaurants. But I do think, dovetailing into what you're saying is, some views related to carnival food and so forth would be good in that sense.
Or specialty foods or foods associated with an experience or something. Because, it's food, but all food is food, right? So it doesn't seem to be sort of special enough. You're in basically a specialized menu here.
Yeah.
So even though you can't find that, you could find the people who like to sort of have unusual dining experiences of whatever kind. Sushi, you don't have sushi, but somebody who goes out for sushi is different than the person that goes out to Shoney's.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah,
About
definitely.
Yeah,
Research
and
on
we've been reaching out to people like restaurants in that area for our competitors, and we've been focusing on people who are like our single chain, our specific. We have gotten a hold of.
Yeah, I was going to talk about
Okay,
that.
yeah, Steph can talk about it.
Okay, so even though we're a very unique dining experience, we're still going to face competition from both internal and external sources.
Mm-hmm.
And the top two external sources to the single location full service restaurant industry is the fast food industry and the chain restaurant industry. Mm-hmm. And in addition to this, we're also going to occasionally face external competition from visiting carnivals, festivals, and fairs that may provide this food. Mm-hmm. However, we offer an experience for more focus on families and a way that they can avoid the lines and crowds. And we've researched the Texas fairs, and most of them are adult-oriented and focus on alcohol-related products. Mm-hmm. So it'll be a good family-oriented place to go.
Most fairs are more
festivals.
Focused on
festivals. Did I say fairs? I'm sorry.
I think that's what I was registering in my head. So, but okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So this will be a more family-friendly environment for folks to go to. Is how you're going to build it. Okay.
Yeah. And also, we're going to face internal competition from other restaurants in the industry. One of the top ones that we found in Austin, Texas, is called Moonshine Grill. Mm-hmm. It's a bar and grill that offers a patio dining experience as well. However, we will combat this competition because we're a very unique dining experience and we differentiate ourselves very well. And we have been contacting other restaurants in the industry in Austin, Texas, as well as cities similar to Austin, Texas, such as Fort Worth and Ackworth, Georgia. And we've been asking questions.
What was that last one?
Ackworth, Georgia. Yeah. Yeah, it's a city similar to
Okay.
Austin.
I'm going to take your word.
And we've asked questions such as how many customers make purchases on an average day, as well as what is your average ticket price. And from this information, we can find their average profits, which can help us evaluate what we may make or our demands for the future.
So it'd be nice if when you do the competitors, just to kind of have a visual of what the map looks like and where you're located, and then kind of where those different players are. I don't know that I really like Google Maps being thrown in there. I see it quite a bit. But just getting that radius where you're located and then kind of what's around you, I think is an important piece to depict. And right now, it looks like your report's pretty word heavy, I think. So I'm not necessarily seeing enough tables and charts to visually entice us as well.
Okay.
And that's kind of weird because I don't want gratuitous photos of hot dogs and
No.
whatever through
Yeah.
there. I want charts and data
Graphs,
and graphs
Okay.
that really justify and bring out your points better. Okay?
Okay.
Like this chart on table 1.1, this is where the body mass index was there and so forth, and this is contrary to what your decision matrix or analysis was doing below in your appendix. So I think you need to get those things synchronized and really corral in your message there, and then you can roll up a summary table of that deeper analysis in the appendix of the 5 cities that you looked at. And I do like the qualitative piece, but I think you got to be a little bit more quantifiable on these and describing the criteria and then making sure there's a link to your rationale of why you did it. Okay? And then again, you can take snapshots of that. Here's all the analysis and the things, but can you roll it up in a smaller table that gets to the poignant pieces that you want to emphasize. Okay?
I also wonder, this is not a recommendation even, it's just kind of a question. This is a pretty extensive menu, no matter what's on it, whether it's fair food or whether it's whatever. It's just, there's a lot of things going on. And that doesn't mean you need all these different demand forecasts. That's not the point.
Mm-hmm.
But at some point in your project, you're probably going to talk about your different suppliers,
Mm-hmm.
and you're going to talk about what equipment you have to have on hand at your restaurant, and you're going to talk about all these other things. So one thing that sometimes simplifies what your operation seems to require is change your assumptions about what you're offering. Like, so for example, if the freshly squeezed lemonade went away, then you probably wouldn't need like the lemonade squeezer, right? Now you don't have to worry about the demand forecast for freshly squeezed lemonade. I'm not saying that, but if that thing is $30,000, and you're getting pinched on the cost of your commercial kitchen, and take something off. You still got plenty of other things here. So I'm not saying to do that, but to be willing to look at it that way, because as you progress with this, you'll get closer and closer to sort of, it'll become clear that either this is or isn't feasible. You can't really, you can try to anticipate that at this point, but you don't know. You have to get into more about your location, your competitors, and your audience, and your costs, and your facility. So that's going to become clearer later on.
Are we having a kind of what's our budget on this? I guess I could say, because
Profitability.
Okay.
So your capital was $200,000 to $2 million, right? So that's what you got to kind of operate within as far as the cash infusion. Then you got to make that cash work for you, which is profit, right? But that give you a general.
Yeah. I was going to say $5 billion.
Right. Yeah. Or that land in the restaurant you're going to buy is $5 million, prime real estate or something. Then you kind of blew where we were at. You'd have to come back and talk to us about we still need $5 million because we're going to be able to make $6 million in 3 years or something.
Okay. That makes perfect
But once we pick a location and everything, we're going to put our staffing plan together and we're going to put the expense invested in our commercial kitchen, and we're going to put the expense of our tax burden and all this other sort of stuff in Austin, it's got to be profitable. So we don't know how much it's going to cost, and we're not shooting for any particular number other than if you operate, you're profitable.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I said viable, I think. Viable, not viable.
Mm-hmm.
Which is the net present value, weighted average cost of capital. Those are calculations you have to get into. So and back on the demand scenarios, what kind of concerned me though is you have the sit down, you got the drive-in, the carry out, and the catering. So
those are demand scenarios.
Right. So I just want to make sure you get, make sure you're considering each of those four in some way, shape, or form. I think the example that we used in class had some weightings to it potentially, because of 3 different products. As you do your call outs to different areas, having a split between drive-in and carry out and so forth may be an important factor. Maybe.
And again, you can revisit those. I mean, it's early in the big scheme of things. Yeah. You start making calls, or you start thinking about it, you start running the numbers, you go, I don't want to, this is not looking good. Let's make this drive-through thing go away. I'm just making that up. Say, okay, we're not that. We're a sit-down restaurant that you can order ahead for carry-out. We got 2 things going on instead of 4.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because most sit-down restaurants don't have a drive-in window. Most don't. Right.
Now, it makes perfect sense. Conceptually, it makes sense for carnival food. And I know what you're trying to do. You're trying to sort of replicate this experience that, you can get it on the run kind of thing. But
and maybe that's your play, your value proposition.
Right.
So then you kind of weave that into your story a little bit more, and you make it more volume through your drive-through all of a sudden as you've done some of your research, and that's fine too. Right. So don't want to squash it. I want you to just develop it, right, and get the analysis and so forth that's going to justify it. Then you can drive it through.
Or you could become like a Sonic, where you're literally a drive-in, and you happen to have carnival.
And there's no place to food. Right. No place to sit.
Yeah, no sit down, no fast, fulfillment of a window.
Mm-hmm. But now part of what you had talked about was the family friendly and all that kind of stuff. So, I think developing out your inside layout and concept, I was kind of interested in, because part of me felt like I want to take my family when they were younger to a table, and then you go up and get your items right at different places, just like a carnival. I think that'd be kind of fun.
That would be very fun. Yeah. That's a good.
But I don't know if you were going to do a waiters coming out and then you go back to the kitchen and bring it back kind of deal. Well, it doesn't feel so much like the carnival kind of deal.
Okay.
So but just again trying to get those nuggets of where you're getting your concept done, and then weave it through the various pieces and parts. Okay. And like a store layout would be good. I think also what are you famous for? You got this specialty deal. All this carnival food, I get it, but is there something you can be specially, a specialty for, and people go for? Mm-hmm. It's like the
donut burger. That just sounds good.
It's exactly what I zoned in on, with the milkshake in between it, and and maybe it's really obnoxious, but especially in Texas, they like things way, like a steak and so you can eat it all. But here's a real big dessert people you're famous for or something to get through. But that may not be a profit maker for you, but it's kind of how you're getting your signature thing out there, and you're going to build your brand around that or something.
Okay.
A milkshake infused donut burger.
Exactly. There's something there that where my food is.
But I was, this would be considered store layout or environment or whatever you want to call it. But are you going to have like some games or something in here? Like
yes.
I don't know if it talks about it in our paper, because we didn't want to add everything in here now. We had talked about like miniature arcade, possible like live entertainment also.
Or like booths like you have at a carnival, like little dart, those little dart things you
just
throw.
Like
or
2 or 3 of those.
Okay, well now it's becoming like a destination. I mean,
it's not gonna be like established. It's gonna be like a couple, like a small part of the restaurant like that.
Okay.
Well, that's another revenue stream.
Yeah.
Well, maybe it depends on you just buy a ticket and then you get here's 10 tickets. Go to any booth you want, and each thing's $1.
And it's
and a game
or it's included with the cost of your meal. The meal costs a little more, but fair games are included.
And then and here's 5 tickets to go play with the games or something like that.
So it's not a different demand scenario.
Yeah.
Trying to not make it work. So think all that through. But I mean, all that sounds interesting. But let me just remind you, it's almost like every team at one point in time gets to this point. There's a difference between in a perfect world, if the 5 of you had the opportunity to launch this business in Austin, Texas, we would want it to do this, 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 and this. It would be the coolest thing going. Okay, that's on one end of the spectrum. The other end of the spectrum is the 5 of us have about 5 weeks to execute this thing according to the plans that we're given, the best that we can do to get a good grade. Sometimes there's a difference between those things, right? So just as an example, you put those arcade games in there, right? Depending on how big they are, you got to have a much bigger facility, which means you're going to pay more rent, which means you're going to have more utilities or whatever to run all this electric stuff you got going on. All of that's maybe fine, but if you're already close on your margins and stuff, and you're only making like $1.50 a head or something, you may not want to introduce games, much as they sound like they'd be fun, much as though they would be consistent with your theme. You know, so you just have to balance, you know, what you would like to do versus what you think you better do versus what would answer the assignment that you can actually do.
And it's okay to come back with it's not feasible. Or build your scenario in your Excel spreadsheets where this is the arcade piece of it. You can take those out very quickly with the costs and so forth.
If we needed to pull back, here's what we do.
Yeah, but I appreciate the analysis and the detailed, you know, work that you're going to go into it. Part of what his message is, you got to get focused. And if you want to be everything to everybody, guess what? You all of a sudden are all over the place. So you really got to zone in, focusing on the core of what you are, and try to, and in essence, make that successful.
Yeah, I think this is a pretty cool idea, and the coolness of the idea comes from this idea of carnival food away from the carnival. You can make that blown out and as complicated and confusing and multifaceted as you want to, or you can say, you know, this is really the gist of the idea, and we're going to have this, that, and the other thing, and it's going to be nice. It won't be the blown out version, but it'll be, you know, make sense, and we can execute what makes sense and not keep chasing the blown out one. I'm just saying, I have that conversation with every team. Every semester, so don't feel like it's targeted to you or this concept or
I'm
anything.
glad we had it sooner rather than later.
Because you can. I mean, this one is kind of fun, and it just kind of builds on itself.
And I actually like the drive-through thing. It actually kind of like I can see myself having a craving for, you know, a corn dog or something. You know, so I can actually see that being, and you could justify that because of it. You know, but again, you have to justify it's going to have data to do it. So I don't want to squash any ideas, but again, focus and then make sure you rationalize it. You, before I get off this menu, you have a liquor license, right? If you're going to start doing alcohol?
Yes.
All right. So I don't know if I saw it in here or what that meant.
Okay.
And that's
It's
a little bit
associated
contrary
with
to
family friendly.
Correct.
It's a little contrary to family friendly.
And then aren't liquor license expensive? So maybe that's one thing that we could see how much it costs and how much.
Yeah.
And maybe beer's
to
not
be
a
in
big
there.
deal. I don't know, but
I don't know.
and that's not as friendly, not as unfriendly.
I mean, you know, you could say Austin is a drinking town. I think, like any college town, right? So this could be one of your points of difference. We're not that. Don't even have it. Don't have a license. We are family friendly. You want to go someplace where a lot of other people drink and whooping it up? Go ahead.
You know, have the drunk college kids go through the drive-through while the families come inside.
Exactly. Yeah, that kind of thing.
There we go.
Yeah, bad we say that.
But so the idea is they're just molded in your own to your own benefit, as opposed to trying to impress anybody by blowing it out, because it won't be impressive when it gets late in the game and you go, this is now so complicated that we can't afford it, we can't find a location, we don't know who our target is. I mean, you can't do that. So better to focus now.
All right.
So I like the fact you got to wrap it up, but like you got you're coming in here with your brand and so forth, continue to build that brand, get some energy around it as you go through it. I don't like your profile pictures. They're all inconsistent and so forth. They're not really tying to your theme either, so consider potentially trying to
Dressing as
do
clowns, for
something else.
example.
I was thinking of the dart throwing guy, the Carney who does that.
Yeah.
Yep, and then just continuing to build off on the data side. So I'd like to see things quantified, the analysis, the critical thinking, and it links to your storyline throughout.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for your input.
Yes.
It was
Okay.
very helpful.
That's great.
Have a good weekend.
You too.
Thank you. Have a nice weekend. All right.
Good to see you.
All right.
Tick. I've even loaded them up to Google Sheet.